big fight just got announced. You're taking on Khamzat. How you feeling about going into this fight?
He goes out there with undoubted confidence. I'm looking forward to testing that, to see how big the hype is.
Paula was probably the best version I've seen it be.
The biggest key difference I could feel in that fight opposed to a lot of other fights, especially the fight prior, was just that when you're actually doing the walk, it's a terrible feeling, right? But
right, you're like, I'm lifting all these weights, getting punched in the face.
Dude.
I wanted this in my life. What? You're a busy man. You have 3 children. You're married. You got your game. You got your hardcore characters. You try to build your podcast up.
I got 5 children, dude.
You have 5 kids?
Yeah, man.
Oh, it's 15-time world champion Demetrious Johnson. You're listening to the MightyCap.
Rob, thank you so much for joining the MightyCast. I am the host, Demetrious Johnson. We are out. Chill. Well, damn.
A few moments later.
What's up, guys? Here with another announcement. On Saturday, June 22nd, former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker versus 13-0 undefeated Khamzat Chimaev to see who will be the #1 contender for the UFC middleweight championship.
Yo.
And lie to me.
What? Where? When? What'd I do?
No. I'm just, it's funny because, you know, the fight just got announced and my producer's like, oh, we got to get him back on. They just announced this fight. And I was like, son of a knew the whole time. He's just playing you for a fool.
I kid you not. I spoke to Hunter 2 days ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to take too much of your time, brother. All right. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, Rob. Big fight just got announced. You're taking on Khamzat in Saudi Arabia. How did this fight come about? Right? I mean, I felt like it came out of nowhere. I think it's a great matchup. I love this fight. I think the winner of this probably fights for the belt next. I know obviously you have DDP who just won it. You have Sean Strickland, you know, bite off the chirp. You have the storyline with DDP and Izzy. But there's also a storyline with DDP versus Rob. How you feeling about going into this fight?
Yeah, no, I'm really happy. You were just telling me that I held out on you seconds ago, you know, and honestly, the fight came about in the last 2 days. I got a message from Hunter. Hey, this fight, what we're doing, you want it? And I was like, yeah, why not? Like 12 weeks away. That's plenty of time for a camp. I'm only about 5 weeks out from my last fight, so I haven't put on too much weight. Haven't really lost too much sharpness or anything like that. So I think just moving into a fight within the next 12 weeks is perfect for me because I have always mentioned that I wanted to be more active. It's just, with the way things just played out, I just wasn't able to. But this is the perfect, honestly, it's perfect for me to be able to get another one in. And then you put the fact that it's against Chimaev, who, you know, he's got a lot of hype in himself, so he's going to bring a lot of eyes. He is, you know, the boogeyman in the division at the moment. Nobody wants to fight him. No one wants to have a go with him. So I get to have that run at him, which will be fun. I think that they're the fights that excite me because they're the tests. You know what I mean? They're the type of fights I get a lot of honor and pride out of. You know.
No, I think you hit it right on the dot. I felt your last fight against Paula kind of got you ready for this fight because I can tell you right now, he's not going to bring that same heat that Costa brought. I can tell you that right now. I think athleticism-wise, I think you probably beat one of the most athletic guys in that division when it comes to the physique and the speed and just the back and forth battle. I think with Khamzat, says he has that boogeyman status of him, but I think it's because no one wants to fight him. No one wants to take him to war. Like Gilbert Burns took him to war. I think you will take him to war, but you have something that Gilbert doesn't, which is championship level mentality, and you've been there before. You fought 5 rounds, you pushed through 5 rounds, you battled through adversity through 5 rounds, and I think that's something that he hasn't done, and I believe the ace is in your cards, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd like to think so as well. I'd like to think that I'm going to go in there with a speed advantage and a striking advantage. I'm going in there thinking that I think one of his greatest strengths is the fact that he can force the wrestling on people. And I think it's going to be a little harder to force the wrestling on me just because of my distance, because of my control of spacing. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think it's going to be a hard fight. I'm going to take that same mentality into this fight and look to take him to war and just earn this win. I'm going to earn this win, and this puts me in perfect direction for a title shot and condition for a title shot, which has always been the goal.
Gotcha. Now, you like this matchup better than Sean Strickland, correct? I think it's a harder fight than Sean Strickland because it's only one thing you have to worry about with Sean, which is the Philly shell style, the quick jabs, and that's about it. With Khamzat, it's more of, is he going to force a wrestling on you? Is he going to stand up and strike with you? I would say he's probably a little bit bigger than you height-wise, which I think his shot's going to be a lot harder to get underneath you, like elevation change to get underneath you. How are you liking? You like this fight better than the Strickland one?
Honestly, every fight brings their own challenges, and you would know, like, whenever you're preparing for a fight, the version of your opponent in your head's always way worse than the version you actually fight. Excluding Costa's last fight, because dude was way better than I thought he would be. Props to him,
well,
right?
like I said, like how we say earlier in the show, where like there was a switch that went off in your mind and your eyes. You can see it. You're like, all right, it's Bobby Knuckles time. You fucking stood your ground and you just went to war. And I think that same mentality is going to come out when you fight Khamzat. And I can't wait to see it. I'm super excited. I saw it. My producer saw it. He goes, dude, we got to get him back on. This is going to be a banger of a fight. Main event, Saudi Arabia. And we were just caught off guard, right? Because like you said, nobody really wants to fight this guy. But, Bobby Knuckles stepping up to the plate, going to take him out, baby.
Mate, and like that's one of the things, like that's another alluring factor is about it. Because I was assumed they would have kept me for August for Australia.
Perth.
But mate, the fact that it come out, the fact that I get to be a part of history, because I think this is the first time it's been in Saudi Arabia. So I get to be a part of that. I get to headline that with Khamzat Chimaev. I get to have 5 rounds with him just to put in my work, and mate, I get another payday in the first 6 months of the year. So
I got bills to pay, man.
You got them kids. Yeah, man.
COVID did you wrong. COVID, like I said, you were getting in.
Yeah. I'm gonna go buy some more TVs, dude.
Awesome. Michael, is there anything you want to add to it?
No, I guess the only thing I would add is when you look at Khamzat from the outside looking in, have you been pretty impressed with what you've seen him do in the fights that he has had in UFC? Even his last fight against Kamaru, which was technically his 185 debut, but of course it was against a 170. Have you been impressed with what you have seen from Khamzat?
I think impressed is the wrong word. I think he's a good fighter, and I think he's got a great headspace for the craft, and he knows what he does well, and he goes out there with undoubted confidence in what he can do. And I guess that makes a very dangerous recipe, but it's something that, like, if it gets shaken, then you don't know which way the cards are gonna fall, sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to testing that to see how big the hype is, if you would.
Love it. I love it. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This podcast is sponsored by PrizePicks. Now, PrizePicks is a daily fantasy sports pick'em. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the cool thing I love about PrizePicks is you are not playing against millions, and I mean millions of people around the world. You are playing against the projections. For example, let's say LeBron James is going to have, 7 rebounds. Now, you might be like, what? LeBron James has been looking good recently. I think he's on fire today. I'm going to go with more. He's going to land those 7 rebounds. Or if you're not liking how LeBron James is looking, he's looking a little tired, you look like his age is getting the best of him, why don't you go with less? And the cool thing about PrizePicks, it's not just NBA, it's NHL. MLB just started. They even got Valorant, and then you got CSGO. So if you want to give PrizePicks a try, all you got to do is go to your app store, download it, and when you do that, make sure you use my promo code MIGHTY. They will match up to $100 of your deposits, and make sure you make the right picks at the right place, which is PrizePicks. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to the content. I had to slide in, your DMs My producer's like, man, I want Robert on the MightyCap. I was like, okay. I sent you a message in DM, no response. I sent another one, no response. I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Robert's busy. He's getting ready to fight Paulo Costa, which was an absolute amazing fight. We'll get to that later in the show, but I appreciate you coming on, man. And how's life? How's the wife? It's been a long time. Last time we've actually seen each other was New York. And I think that was like 2016, 17?
Yeah, that was like 5 years ago, dude. Firstly, to my defense, I did get back to you on the DMs. Okay, it was just months later. I don't check them ever, just about. Okay, so it was just happenstance that I was scrolling through. I was like, oh, dude, he's messaging me. What's going on? And yeah, so I did respond at some point. But yeah, I'm terrible at those. Thanks for having me on. It has been a long time, man. Like literally, it's been like 5 years. And obviously with yourself, life has changed big time. With myself, life's changed big time. So yeah, man, life goes on.
Yeah, that's what's up. Well, like you said, you get back to me. Okay, man. So let's start from the beginning. Obviously, I feel when you fight, you have a certain style of going about your fights. You're light on your toes. You kind of take a karate stance, but you can do it all. You can strike, you can wrestle, you can fight in the clinch. What was the beginning of your infancy into martial arts? Like, did you wrestle? Was it karate? I'm going to go on a limb and say it was probably karate, but you got the nickname Bobby Knuckles. Like, where did it all start?
I guess it all started with karate, right? I did start in karate. That was my first discipline. My parents wanted me to do some martial arts just because that's what you do with your kids, and yeah, I just took to it. I don't know. I was one of those boys that I don't know. I feel like every other boy can relate. It's just like I liked fighting games. I liked fighting shows. I liked pretending I was fighting people outside, and I was just always drawn to combat, and I really liked martial arts and stuff like that. But the biggest thing with me with karate was that I just wasn't quick enough, because when I was a kid, there were no weight limits, and I was like a heavier set boy, not fat, but heavier set. Okay. And there were just like these thin, lithe, fast dudes that would piece me up in points and whatnot. So felt like I was always held back by that. And then eventually through doing karate, we moved house, and then it was harder to get to the karate. And so I changed to a local gym, which was Hapkido. The Hapkido school changed into MMA just when MMA was like still blowing up, like still really being introduced. So, yeah, and the rest is history, really.
Damn. Yeah, I can tell, because like when I, obviously I broke it down both of your fights, the one you fight Jared Cannonier, and I was like, wow, Robert really takes his karate style the way he goes about. He's light on his feet, hands are down, but there's a lot of guys who take the karate style, right? Where you're point fighting, but you actually cross the distance, as we call it on the Mighty channel, the void. Like, you get in there and you're not scared to mix it up. But I was talking to my producer, I was like, I bet you his background is karate. I guarantee. So that was kind of the question. So you started in karate, Hapkido, and then when did you make that transition to mixed martial arts? Was it an MMA gym, or were you still doing the karate stuff, and then you're like, I'm gonna do MMA fight?
Well, no. So I changed from karate to Hapkido, a Hapkido school. And the Hapkido school did Hapkido and Jiu-Jitsu. So that was kind of my first introduction into MMA, because if you know anything, if you've ever done Hapkido or know anything about it, like in my opinion, it's like one of the most traditional forms of mixed martial arts, like earliest forms of mixed martial arts, because you have so many different things in there that are from other styles. So you have the wrist locks, you have your striking, you have your kicks, you have your grappling and your holds and your locks. So that was kind of my first little taste. And then obviously with jiu-jitsu as well. And then the school that I was doing that at slowly transitioned into just full MMA, less Hapkido. And yeah, that was my introduction into mixed martial arts. And I did the usual thing where you start with pankration. Remember, if you ever heard of that?
Yep. Absolutely.
I competed in pankration a few times, loved it, but was held back by the no closed fist strikes to the face. So yeah, and then once I got of age, I just jumped straight into the octagon.
Now, I want to backtrack real quick. You said Hapkido. I'm not very familiar with Hapkido. So you're saying Hapkido has grappling in it, or you're saying when you're at that school with Hapkido, it had jiu-jitsu, so they kind of encompass both of them together, or does Hapkido have grappling in it?
It's not quite as detailed as jiu-jitsu, so it's not like complete ground game, but it has locks and holds and submissions in it. So think of Steven Seagal, right? So I'm pretty sure what he does. I think what he does is Hapkido. I'm 99% sure he does Hapkido. So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And then so you did pancreation, and what age was this about? Because you said when you became an age, you jumped straight into the octagon. So
Yeah.
When you say octagon, was that the UFC, or would you take your first MMA bout in mixed martial arts, but it wasn't the professional level? Like, what was that transition period? So you said when you became of age, what is the age limit in Australia to start doing it? Because I remember at one point when me and Joseph fought in Australia, like the cage was illegal there.
Yeah.
I believe. And then eventually it got, they passed a law where you can do cage fights. You can fight in the ring there in mixed martial arts, but not in the cage, correct?
Yeah. Well, pancreation was all done in a ring, and it did take a while to get the cage, like sanctioned here in New South Wales. I'm pretty sure, and I wanted to bring this up. That was in Sydney, right? When you fought Joseph?
Yep. Well, I fought Ian McCall, and then he fought
Ian McCall.
Shatani. But yes, that was the first time in Sydney, Australia, that a cage was sanctioned in Australia.
Your Ian McCall fight, that was when he had the Uncle Creepy. Was his name? Uncle Creepy? Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
That was my first UFC fight I'd ever gone to. Like that was. Yeah.
Whoa, you gone to, or what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This podcast is sponsored by GFuel. If you want to take your energy level to a whole new level, all you got to do is go to GFuel.com. Try out all the amazing flavors they have right now, ladies and gentlemen. This one right here is the blue ice. Absolutely delicious. I like to take my G Fuel when I go to the gym just to get that extra pump and extra energy. And also you can take a look and check out the Mega Man Blueberry Slushie. That is my all-time favorite with 200 milligrams of caffeine. And the cool thing about G Fuel, it's not just about the caffeine that gives you energy. It also has multivitamins. So when you come off of that delicious energy, there is not a crash. All you got to do is go to gfuel.com, use my promo code MIGHTY to save up 20% on your complete order. Now, shout out to G Fuel for sponsoring this podcast. Let's get right back to the content. Did you fight on that card? I don't think you fought on that card.
No. I wasn't in the UFC at that point yet.
How old were you when you were there?
I would have been maybe 19.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
20.
you're a young adult. Jesus Christ, man!
Like,
I'm fucking old.
yes, no, dude. But that was the first, like, seeing the lights, seeing the walkout, seeing all the crowd, because I was never really, I don't know. So with me in mixed martial arts, I never really watched a lot of it. Maybe it's because I never had pay-per-view, or I never had main event, never had paid TV. So I could never, well, it was never on free TV back in the day. So maybe that's why I didn't watch much of it. But I don't know, like I'd rather be outside playing, or I'd rather be in the gym doing it, sort of thing. Like that's just the sort of guy that I was. But being at that event, seeing the lights and stuff, I was like, man, I need this. Like I need this in my life, right? And I said that from the outside, because when you're actually doing the walk, it's a terrible feeling, right? But
right, you're like, I'm lifting all these weights, getting punched in the face.
Dude.
Goes, I wanted this in my life. What?
Yeah, man. Like when you're standing behind the curtain, like every time I'm like, what am I doing? It's like, but I digress. So I started in pancreation, no, only rings, and that's because I was under the age of 18. So you're not allowed to compete in a cage here until you're 18. And then you would know as well, like when MMA was first starting out, there was no amateur scene. There just wasn't an amateur scene. And so I went, my first fight was straight professional. I just went straight in there. And, maybe you could say in a sense that it was kind of was the amateur scene to the same level.
Yeah.
Because everyone's kind of in the same boat, right?
But exactly. Well,
yeah.
When you were saying that, I was thinking like, well, obviously in Australia, since the cage wasn't really sanctioned and you can't take an MMA fight until you're 18, obviously this is, years back, right? Like I believe that first fight in Australia was in 2012, I believe. So we're like, what, 2024? So that's like 12 years ago, if my math's correctly? 12 years ago. So 12 years ago, I'm 37. So I'm like maybe minus 10, minus 2. So I'm like 25 years old. There is an amateur league here in Washington State, and you could be as young as 15, I believe, to fight in a sanctioned amateur fight in Washington State, as long as you have all your blood work and all that stuff done and your parents sign up the consent form. But I can only imagine, if you're 19, that was 12 years ago, who knows what the amateur scene was for you. It was probably, like you said, pancreation, especially since the cage wasn't really, sanctioned there. So I would say, yeah, your pancreation is probably your amateur, and then you went straight into the pros once the cage got sanctioned in Australia.
Yeah, well, I'll ask a question on that because I'm just curious of your opinion. What do you think of competing in MMA like before the age of 18? I understand that's not this podcast.
No.
Let's chat, dude.
This is the podcast, my friend. We're just chatting, get to know one another. I mean, we've hung out before, like I said, 6 years ago, but we actually never had an opportunity to actually sit down and chat. And I didn't know you did karate. I assumed you did karate because your style, and then Aikido. Then I didn't know you were at my very first fight in Australia. That was your very first time into the UFC. So I'm learning new things. But for me, I feel I'm not the biggest fan of somebody taking an amateur fight, at least under 18. Like if my kids wanted to fight, I don't think I would have them do an amateur fight until they're 18 or 19. Reason why is, as you know, this sport it's unforgiving, right? Man. In order to make it to a point where you're actually going to make some really, really good money, you got to put the work in. You got to become a world champion. You got to build your brand. You got to do X, Y, and Z. And I feel, there's other ways to get competition as an amateur, jiu-jitsu tournaments, wrestling tournaments, just get the grappling out of the way. Then when you turn 18, you can train, don't get me wrong, train on a summer during, high school. And then when you turn 18, then I was like, okay, start to spar a little bit more and then go take your first amateur fight. That's just for me. Like if I was to do it with my kids, that's the progression I would do it. And I don't see anything wrong with that. How do you feel about it? I
100% agree with you. I think, mate, you're kidding yourself if you think you can't get the same sort of competitive edge doing a wrestling comp, doing a jiu-jitsu comp, especially today, right? Sometimes I'm more nervous going to those. And sometimes the guys that I'm paired with, just like a nobody from the next suburb, he's out for blood. He knows exactly who I am. Because I'll bring it up. I saw you did your gi comp not too long ago. And dude, did you feel it like there are some guys that's like, you step on the mat, so you look across from you, and the guy's like, I'm going to make my name today, bro.
Dude, absolutely. Like, doing the IBJJF Worlds was probably the first time in a long time I got butterflies, and I was nervous. I was sweating. My coach was like, dude, you are nervous as shit right now. And I was like, I know. I'm excited. I feel that those butterflies that I used to get when I used to fight. And he goes, why? And I was like, because it's unpredictable. I don't know what's going to happen. I have 6 matches if I win, and it's 6 minutes long, and they're all bringing a different game to the table to when I fight in the cage and one championship. It's like, okay, you're fighting Adriano. You have 8 weeks to get ready for him. I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit there and watch tape, and I'm going to make sure I'm the best I can in 8 weeks. With this, it's like, all right, there's 31 motherfuckers in this bracket. Don't know who I'm going to fight. We're going to find out. And so you've been doing competitions then, you recently?
Yeah, no, not recently. Not for a few years now.
Okay.
I just found that it was hard to juggle camps, the weight, training with the competitions, because competitions, competitions bring a level of intensity to them, obviously, but I bring a level of intensity to them So like more than anything else, like I'm not worried he's going to hurt me. I'm going to hurt myself, dude. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
Like, yeah. So it's just a bit sketchy, you know. Unfortunately, only one of them puts food on the table.
Exactly. And that's, obviously I'm sure there's going to go a point in time in your career where, if you've been a champion, you have a brand. When you're ready to walk away from the sport, you're going to be able to do those competitions and be able to monetize it some way, whether it be sponsors, creating videos on it, content around it. You're going to be able to do it, right? Like, you're a very likable guy. You have a big following. I don't think you'll have a problem with that. Like, that's where I'm at now on my stage in my career. It's like, can I still fight? 1,000%, right? But that's dedicating, 8 to 12 weeks, getting ready for a fight, going through the press conference, going through the buildup, going through X, Y, and Z, taking the time away from my wife and kids. Or I can just do jiu-jitsu competition where I train 3 days a week, maybe 5 hours a week. And I can go out there and get the same type of I get butterflies now when I do that, and opposed to when I do MMA fights, right? So you'll get there. You're still young. Like, how old are you right now, Rob?
33.
Yeah, you're still young. You got at least, 4 or 5 more years left in you, because your last fight when you fought Paula was probably the best version I've seen of you.
Really?
Like, I've seen your Izzy fights. I've seen your Jared Cannonier fights. I've seen a lot of your fights. And that one, there was a point in time in that fight, I was sitting there watching it, and I could see in your eyes, you're like, okay, it's fucking game time. Like, let's go. You're countering his jab. You're coming up with the shove uppercut, coming over to pop, 5-2. Like, you were engaged in that fight. You never checked out, right? A lot of people, when they meet another athlete that is super athletic and quick and fast, they're like, okay, I can't keep up with the speed. But you were like, nah, like, I'm here to fight. You brought the fight. And you were checked to fuck in, and I loved every bit of it.
Yeah, dude, I really appreciate you saying that, because, and I'm not surprised, but I am surprised to a certain degree, because nobody else talks about it, mate. That was the biggest thing I had worked on in the whole lead up in the prep, and then and even in the way that I was conducting myself in the fight week and in the press conferences and in the interviews and everything. It was about the mentality behind everything. It was about that primalness. Like, I'm here for work. I'm here to do a job, to get it done and go home. And I'm super happy you noticed that, because that was the biggest key difference I could feel in that fight opposed to a lot of other fights, especially the fight prior, was just that, mate, I was checked in 100%. I had absolute iron resolve in that fight, that like I was going to leave there being carried. Like, that's the only way I was gonna walk out of that. Like, and it's hard to say that, because everyone assumes that with fighters that's kind of how it is and stuff like that. But anybody who's been in the game, especially yourself, for as long as we have and have fought the fights that we have, like, it's easy to lose that. It's easy to just like, man, again, like, do I want to do this again? Right? It's I am thankful that you saw that. I think I could have finessed the fight a little better. I feel like that mentality kind of made me a little bullish. And but in saying that, that was probably the best I could have done at that time.
Yeah. No, like, I can tell, like, there's part, like, the beginning of the fight, it was okay, Whittaker getting his thing, and then there was, I don't know what it was. There was a key moment in the fight. You're like, boom, Whittaker is locked in, because Paulo Costa, he's a very tough guy, and he's very fast, very good kicks, very good combinations, and if you give him an inch, he's going to take a mile, right? Yeah, and for you were not backing down. You kept your stance. You kept on countering. And I was like, this is the best. I told my producer, I was like, this is the best version of Rob I've ever seen. And I noticed that. And you think it was you being locked in, focused on, I'm here to do a job. You think that was a key difference from that fight to the last fight?
Oh, definitely. So the fight prior to Costa with Drickers, the camp was really shaky. Like, I did 90% of the camp on like an assault bike, just because I was just struggling with injuries the entire time. And mate, if you want to fight, if you want to fight, you need to practice fighting and what that entails. Like you can't jump, you can't train on an assault bike and expect to go in there and fight the best in the world.
No, you can't do it. You need, I think some people might, no. Yeah, you can't spend 90% on an assault bike and then get in a cage and expect to beat anybody, right?
Otherwise, everyone would do it.
Exactly.
Exactly. You see every MMA gym like this.
Yeah, come in, choose your bike, your color, whatever one you want, you decide. Yeah, continue. You're on assault bike 90% of the camp, so you pretty much went through that camp injured to get ready for DDP.
There are a lot of obstacles and hurdles, and you know what? I'm not here to complain about it, because like every fighter has injuries in camps. Like it just is what it is. And if you have a camp without injuries, man, like God bless, because it's a good one, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But like I feel like those hurdles and obstacles, right, affected my mentality going into the fight. I don't know what it was. Could have been like burnout, because like the assault bike, no one likes the assault bike. And when you do heavy cardio sessions on them 5 days a week, like I just really started not enjoying myself. And mate, I don't know. I think it followed me into the octagon. I feel like just a lot of the processes in my head and just my mental state, my mentality for fighting just wasn't where it needed to be in that fight. And my body quit on me. Like I remember the feeling of my body, and I remember the feeling. It was disgusting. I never want to feel like that again. And so from that, it was just, the whole process was just about reinforcing my fight, bringing that dog back in, that dig attitude sort of. And I'm happy. It came out. It came out in that fight. It was like I had complete control over my mental state and my headspace in that fight. But I also do think, like, because I was like, gritting my teeth sort of thing so hard.
Yeah.
I was a little more bullish than I could have been. I feel like I have more finesse than that, right?
Yeah. Well, sometimes you got to have both, right? Some fights, the finesse will come out. Some fights are like, fuck it, it's let's go. It's a dog fight, right? You're gonna sit there, bite down, earn your nickname, the Bobby Knuckles, and you're gonna go out there and show out. So I loved it. I thought it was a great fight. Nickname Bobby Knuckles. Where does that come from?
I got no idea, right? I think it was. I think.
So someone's like, oh, Bobby Knuckles, that's your nickname. You're like, sounds good. We'll roll with it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I made up the Reaper, but. Bobby Knuckles was like a crowd cultivated nickname, and it's just stuck. Like people love, I don't know, it's just stuck. And I never corrected them on it, because I was like, oh, they'll burn themselves out. But nah, dude, like it took off, and I was like, well, I guess I'm going to make a shirt about it.
Yeah. Don't worry. I had the same thing when I first jumped in mixed martial arts. My nickname was Black Ice, because I was so slick, and me being black, and I'll be, making people miss in the ring. And then I fought, and everybody was like, this guy looks like Mighty Mouse. I'm like, no, it's Black Ice, motherfuckers. Get it right. And then Mighty Mouse stuck, and then it just been here ever since then. So
it's like that.
Yeah. Okay. Now, big gamer, what are you playing nowadays?
Mate, honestly, I play a lot of games you probably never heard of.
Try me.
I play a ton of roguelike indie games. So things like Caves of Cud, Rogue's Tale, those sort of games.
Okay.
Adam, Tales of Majayal, those sort of things. More mainstream games, I play, like obviously Elden Ring. I love FromSoft. So I've gone through the Dark Souls series. I jump back into 2 all the time.
Which one are you in right now? Have you beat all of them?
Yeah. No, I haven't finished 1.
Oh.
I got. What happened? I think I just got bored.
and so you played Dark Souls. You beat 2 and 3, and you haven't beat 1, right?
Yeah, I haven't finished 1. No.
Okay, and you beat Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3, correct?
Correct.
and then you beat Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Okay, so which was the first one you played into the Souls-like game?
3. And I'll tell you. I'll tell you. I think it was a good entry because where games were graphically and stuff like that, it was, and just the mechanics as well as like the dodge rolling, like it felt less clunky than 2 with the attributes, and then definitely than 1. So I think if I would have started 2 or 1, I wouldn't have got into it as much. Oh, actually, I probably would have because I love those style of games. But
yeah,
I will say
you started with the very basic one, right? Like it's like playing Resident Evil 4 the very first time, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna play Resident Evil 1. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
how am I supposed to aim? How am I supposed to shoot?
What's going on? Yeah. It's like, and you're 100% right. Like 3 is like the most user friendly of the games. You know.
Yes.
Opposed to, you could say Elden Ring is the most user friendly now. Because
Elden Ring is like you get a fucking horse, you can teleport anywhere. I mean, Dark Souls 1, it's like I start here and I had to go there. All right, well, let's there's no map, there's no nothing.
Yep. Well, my favorite of the series is probably 2, just because of like how you can do anything, and you can hard lock yourself out of shit. Like it's like. But I love it. But I will say, Dark Souls 3, so my first entry into it was the first game to actually make me rage quit something. Like, now, when I say rage quit, I don't mean red face, throw my controller at something. It was like I reached a point where I actually got defeated, and I said, I'm not playing this game anywhere. And I put the controller down and left and come back to it probably about a year later. Like, and that was against and remember, I had never played any of these sort of games before, so I didn't really understand the mechanics or anything like that. Plus, I feel like as I aged, I grew into roguelikes. Like I grew into that sort of masochism. I don't know how you say the word. I grew into wanting like that pain, that grind, right?
Yes.
And the Nameless King was my cherry, right?
Yeah.
Like,
now you're saying the Nameless King as in the boss in Elden Ring, because I beat 1, 2, 3 Elden Ring, and I beat Bloodborne. And are you saying the Nameless King in Dark Souls 3 was a boss that just kept on killing you?
Yeah, he was.
Or is that the roguelike game?
No, he was smoking me, dude. Like the Nameless King.
Gotcha.
That cool looking dude who rides the dragon. And then you got to kill the dragon. Then he gets off the dragon, and then he starts smoking you up.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, man. I love, like, it's funny you mentioned like you've grown accustomed to hard, like games that are hard, that are challenging, right? Because if I remember correctly, roguelike games is like you start here, and then if you die, you start from the very beginning again, and then you have to go through it. And as you go, you actually level up, correct?
Well, no. So that's the difference between roguelite and roguelike. So roguelike is it's like, so today I only play games like hardcore. So it's like Diablo hardcore. Like
you die,
hardcore.
it's it. You gotta start over from the beginning.
Characters deleted. Like you're crying in the corner for a little bit. Like, whereas games like Dark Souls, they have a progression. So it's like if you spend your souls, even if you die, you start back to the early bonfire, but you're better than you were.
Exactly.
So, but now today I can only play hardcore games. Like if I don't get that, you know what I'm talking about. When you're playing on a dude,
Absolutely.
You put 20 hours in and you're about to die and you feel your balls go up to your throat, dude. And like those cold sweats start pouring out of you. Oh man, nothing beats it.
Yep. That's a thing. It's funny because when I stream on Twitch, I'll play Escape from Tarkov. And, if you play that game, once you die, you lose all your gear. You lose your M4. You lose your Reaper. You lose everything. You start to build up that endorphin release where it's like you kill somebody else, they lose everything. Now, today I was playing Helldivers 2. I don't know if you heard of the game.
I have.
And I'm sitting here and I'm just like, oh, I'm killing the bugs. Yay.
Yeah,
I died. I get to come. I'm like, there's no repercussion for me dying.
Yeah, you just keep throwing yourself at it. Like, why not?
Exactly. So like, I understand your pain. Like when you play Diablo 4 or Diablo 2, the hardcore mode, it's like, all right, guys, babe, stay off the internet. Everybody's off the fucking Wi-Fi. I don't want no mistakes if I die. I want it to be on me. I don't want like, fucking the internet drop because like I totally feel you. So are you looking forward to Elden Ring, the DLC, the Shadow of the Elder Tree?
Oh, massively. So I am in love with Elden Ring. So do you play? So firstly, jumping back on, you said that you played Escape from Tarkov. I tried getting into that, but I'm just terrible, dude. I feel like I'm an old man trying to play a new age game. I just can't and I know exactly what you mean because I have killed some players, I think it's 2 in my history of the game. And the feeling I get knowing that I'm taking all his shit is like, it's not my birthday, dude.
It's satisfying, isn't it?
When you kill someone and you're getting his gear, I'm like, mate, it's Christmas. Oh, this is the best feeling ever. I go to my wife, I'm like, Sophia, babe, come over, look at this. Like, it's a reason for celebration, but then within the same instance, I get taken out by some dude with just a pistol and he's just jumping up or down. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So I think with Escape from Tarkov, the reason why the game is so hard is because there is no learning. It's a steep learning curve. But once you learn the maps, you have to learn the maps. That's the first advice I give you. Like reserve, customs, woods. Woods was the first map I learned on when I was playing by myself. But they expanded it so much that when I play woods, I don't even play woods because I don't know where I'm going. Then they add Streets of Tarkov. They add so many new maps. But once you learn the maps, then you understand which angle you're going to be better at. You understand the sounds. You understand what ammo pierces this armor. Like, it's a full-blown, But once you learn it, you'll never lose it, right? Like, if you have more hours in Tarkov than me and you understand customs and how to fight in the dorms, you're gonna beat me because you have more hours in it. But if you're just freshly playing the game, it's a very, very steep learning curve, but it's so satisfying because it's rewarding because you understand like the mechanics and how the map goes. So I played it this wipe and next wipe, we'll play together and I'll try to teach you the ropes. Like, I'm not even that good. And like, even the best players in the world, they get killed all the time. It's just it's a hardcore game. So
yeah, I'll take you up on that as well because that's the reason why I would like to play. Like, I liked to play that game opposed from Warfare or opposed from Fortnite because like the dude on 2 bottles of Ritalin is going to come in jumping up and down 360 shooting everywhere and beat me, and I don't understand what's going on. Like, watching him move, just the way he moves on the map is giving me anxiety, right? Okay.
Yep.
Whereas in Tarkov, I feel like you can get rewarded by just playing slow and patient.
Yes.
So the best success I had was just camping in a dark spot. I know everyone's blaming me already in your comments. It's just like, stupid camper, Rob's camper. But dude, what do you want from me?
Yeah. I mean, in that game, it's like if you run into a guy who's running 7.62 BP ammo, then it's like, and you're running a 5.56, you have M8 5.55. Like, you're not going to beat that unless you hit him in the head and you have a better position and angle. Then you'll beat him.
You don't want to fly fight with that guy.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, exactly. You want to try to be tactical about it. So, see, I knew I was going to enjoy this podcast because you're a gamer. So, we understand and we chat about this shit. I
found it funny when you were talking about before when you were like, everyone get off the internet, because I remember when I was playing Diablo 3, I had my hardcore character and I was playing like everyone knows the further along you are in that game, the glassier your character becomes, because it's all about speed of maps and like just speed of maps and doing DPS. So I remember I was on, it would have been a, what are they called? It's been a while. The hunter, the demon hunter. Yes. And I was just, it was one of those blink builds where I was just flashing around all over the screen. Like, I didn't even know what I was doing. I couldn't even see anything, but I knew what I had to do. I had to click A, click this, click E, click this, click this. Like, it was just like a chain effect. And then my kids got home, but I didn't notice them off straight away. And then they all turned on their Xbox and PlayStation. And if you got kids, dude, and they and you have like Game Pass, you know they're downloading a new game every hour of the day. So my FPS of my ping shot up to like 800, and I started seeing like Minecraft versions of my Demon Hunter going around the place. I was like, no. And I looked up and I see all my kids there. Like, Dad, I got a new game. And that was the last time I played Diablo 3.
Oh, no. You're like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Rob. Rest in peace to Rob's Demon Hunter.
Everyone has like a death in hardcore via like internet. That's why I didn't get into the hardcore in 4, because it's a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. The internet's going to drop out. It's not
if it's gonna. It's just when it's gonna happen, right? Man, I love that. I told my buddies, like, man, I'm gonna play Diablo 4 hardcore mode. Yep, that last I got to like level 15. I was playing by myself, and I got fucking wrecked in a dungeon. I'm like, I just couldn't move. And then this is right when Blizzard launched the game, and the game kept having crashes, the game crashed, and then I died, and I was like, well, there goes about 8 hours just sunken in. And yeah, that was fun. I guess we're gonna try it again. How does your wife feel about you playing video games?
Well, I've always done it. Like, it's just who I am. Like, it wasn't something like I hid from her when we started dating. And then I was like, hey, babe, by the way, it's, yeah, I've just always done it. And I think because we've been together for a long time now, it's like, as we, the longer we were together, the more she understood how fundamental it is to me, like how much of a core attribute it is for me.
Piece of it is for you.
Yeah, that's how I unwind. That's how I de-stress. This is my happy place. This is my 0-0. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. It took my wife forever. She goes, why do you like games? I was like, it's a coping mechanism for me. It's how I get away. I'm not thinking about the bills. I'm not thinking about the fight. I'm not thinking about training. I am thinking about how the hell do I not die with this character and waste 25 hours of my life, right? Yeah. So that's what's up. It's always good to have a supportive wife.
Oh, yeah. And like, I think that's key for anything you do. You got to have a supportive family. You can't do anything. Like, we can't do anything as people, like, without having a strong support network around us. But I think another part is that I like the power creep without having to actually do anything. You know what I mean? You get it. Like, for us to make any sort of progression in our craft, we have to go in there and sweat and bleed for hours upon hours of hundreds of hours. Like, it's a lot of work. Whereas, like, you can jump in and, like, you put a solid 8-hour grind session in, you see an exponential growth, and that makes me happy.
Yep, I agree. Hey, you know what? We're just simple guys. We like to play games, hardcore mode. Just give me the internet. Like, when I built this house, I have 2 studios. I have this one, and I have the gaming studio. And my gaming studio has Comcast Business, where it's like, nobody else is on that. I have 2 PCs that's on its own direct line. I was like, I don't want nobody. When I'm playing Escape for Tarkov, I don't want no lag or no lag spikes or anything like that. So I'm glad I met another fellow fighter who shares the same passion in gaming and, having the best internet quality possible.
I am a little jealous though, dude, because I'm in Australia. So no matter what I do, I've got like 30 ping. Like, no matter what.
There's no Comcast out there, or Cox, or what's out there in Australia?
Well, so the two-part answer. So we have internet, but it's whenever we try to connect to a NA server or a US server from here, there's going to be a delay.
Oh, yeah.
But also, I live like rurally, so like country in Australia. So it's a little off the grid. So my internet is like a wireless NBN sort of setup, and it's not great for PvP games. Hey, did you ever get into Elden Ring PVP?
I didn't. That's the one thing I wish I would have, because Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, I was really big into PvP. I love going and like just in somebody's game and just fucking killing them.
Yeah,
but
dude.
Elden Ring, that was one I did not do.
Okay. Yeah, I got really into 2 PvP. Like with the cults and stuff like that, the covenants.
Oh shit,
the dueling rings. And I don't know, it's just fun, dude. Like, and people say, like, don't you hate it when people invade your world and like ruin your progress. And I was like, no, dude, that's the fun part. That's what makes me. That's
what's part of the game.
Yeah, that's what makes me excited, because you know when it says so and so is invading you. Like you start shitting bricks, dude. like
because you're looking for them. It's not like they drop right in front of you. It's like so and so has invaded your realm. It's like, where you at, motherfucker? Come out and find me. And then you never know if they're gonna like you sit there and wait. Because I remember like when I was playing Elden Ring, it was right before you fight the fire giant is when I had my first invasion. And then I'm sitting there waiting for somebody to come around the corner because I don't want to fight a big boss. Because for ladies and gentlemen, if you guys never play Elden Ring, basically you're sitting in your world, you're fighting these monsters, and anybody can come invade you at any moment. And then when they invade you, they're on the bad guys team. Yeah, they're not. The monster immune. Doesn't acknowledge them. Right? So you're fighting the monster and another person who's invaded your world. And so that always like, I will sit there and watch them. And then once they start fighting like a big monster, I'll just pop up like, hey, motherfucker, what's going on? Slash, slash, slash. And they're like, great. Then he dies and I leave and I get my point. So I love that game. It's absolute masterpiece.
Well, I reckon get into the arena. Like it's fun. I find it really fun. And you understand Dark Souls like what is it? Like BMing in Dark Souls, right? Like it's just like you beat someone and you saw he was a wizard and he was trying to kite you the entire match.
Yep.
Then you get in close and you smash him. You call him a nerd. You start teabagging on his head. You know what I mean? Like because it just something primal comes out of you because he was like throwing spells at you. And this is a game where you only fight with swords.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, oh look at fucking Gandalf the Great. Try to.
Yeah, dude.
Man, I think what makes it so, obviously you've been playing games your whole entire life for a very long time, and now, at the very beginning you'd have to go to your buddy's house to play games with them, or you have to hook up Xbox. But now to have the power just to turn it on, and you can fight people all around the world, and then you beat them, and when you beat them, there's a person on the other side of that screen sitting there pissed off as you teabag them. Yeah. There's not a better feeling out there.
No, again, it's Christmas. Like, I don't know. It's toxic, but I feel like it's not toxic in Dark Souls because it's kind of like what you see is what you get sort of thing. Everyone understands the level here. Like,
exactly.
In 5 minutes.
What you're getting into.
Yeah, in 5 minutes, you're going to be be getting teabagged. Like, that's just how it is.
Yep. What goes around comes around, my friend. It's a vicious cycle, but it's a fun cycle.
Yes.
Very fun cycle.
Very.
Okay, let's get back on track. Let's get back on track. Okay, so injuries and all that aside, now I believe I'm assuming you're healthy right now, right? After the Paulo fight, you're healthy as we speak.
Yes, very much so. I'm back at training this week, so like I've been back in the gym, getting sweat going, and just obviously taking it slow, but back in there.
Okay, you're taking it slow. Like, after you get done with a big fight, how much time do you take off? Like for me, I'll take maybe, like I think between my Raw Tank fight and my second Adriano fight, I didn't spar. I didn't spar until I signed on a dotted line. So what is your protocol? Like you just got done with Pola. You're already back to training. Are you sparring? Are you full,
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, generally like the sessions is very much easy goings into it. So like, whereas I'll normally do 2 sessions a day to 3, it'll just be 1 session a day and it'll be much easier. There'll definitely not be any sparring for a while just because like, I took heavy headshots in that fight. There's no need to take more right now. We got time. Yeah. So it'll be a lot of wrestling. Honestly, it's a lot of skill set building. So like we're trying new things where we can start to incorporate in new fights or things that we didn't have enough time last fight to work on. Because it's not, in our opinion anyway, it's not great to learn new skill sets in a camp because you're not going to develop the muscle memory necessary to do them in the fight. But now it's the perfect time to do it. We have time, so it's just getting back in the gym, being part of the team. I've got another guy fighting, I think 2 or 3 weeks, Jacob Malkoon. So I'm in the gym just as a body for him, just trying to help him out as he helped me out. And that's just it, just being part of the team, just trying to enjoy it. I'll throw the gi on for a little while and I'll be doing gi sessions. this is the time to do it.
Yep. I love that. Now, you had a long career. Like, what do you do for recovery? Like, I didn't start taking my recovery serious until I was like maybe 34, 35. Like, I was always old school, like just water, sleep, good sex, good alcohol, and that was it. Like now, I'm like, I need my sauna session. I need my ice bath session. I need my sleep. I need my good food and some good loving. And I started doing that right when I started fighting Rotang. And then now I'm like, every week I at least do maybe 40 to maybe 50 minutes of sauna, and I try to do at least 15 minutes, maybe 10 to 15 minutes of ice cold therapy. Like, what is your go-to when it comes to recovering?
Well, it's a lot of what you said the first time. I was like, oh no, but yeah, it's just every night I have a stretching program. I do a stretching program, and then I make sure I sleep my 8 hours. I do cold showers a lot. That's about it, man. Like,
oh, good for you.
like
you talk to people nowadays like, oh man, I got my sauna, I got my hyperbaric chamber, I got my, I got my stretcher, I got my suit. Like, well, when I talked to Dom was like, I get massage, twice a week. I'm stretching. He's saying he had a lot of stuff. Even Henry Cejudo, he's like, I got my hyperbaric chamber, got this. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. I've never done a hyperbaric chamber, and it's very rare, especially an athlete as high level as you, who, dedicate to stretching, get your 8 hours, some good loving, good drinks, and that's about it. So more power to you. I mean, you're still young. You're 33 years old, and you've had a whole lifetime of fighting already with the Aikido and the karate and the pancreation. So good for you, man.
Don't get me wrong, though. There are days I wake up and I feel like I've been ran over. Like,
oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're in this sport, it's part of the game.
Yeah.
Like, even after I got done with like my last gi competition, I was like, oh my God. I was like, I just grappled for, 36 minutes, and I feel like I just got in a world title fight. Like, I am absolutely spent and exhausted. And there's nothing you can do about it, right? It's just part of aging and part of competing.
Yeah. It's so. Yeah, that's all I do. Like, I've tried getting massage done, and I don't get me wrong. Like, when I feel like my neck's really tight for some reason, or I'm starting to get like those headaches in the back of your head because your neck's so tight, I'll go get a massage. But generally, nothing's really done as much for me as just stretching every single day. Like, to miss a day for me is bad because like I just feel so tight. And sleep, like the sleep's the big one. If I don't sleep enough, then I feel fragile.
How the hell you get that 8 hours of sleep with them babies running around?
Yeah, dude. It's tricky, but because my wife knows what I do and like I need my sleep, she exits stage left. And
gotcha.
when the baby's up, waking up. Yeah.
Oh, that's what's up. Like mine, it's like my daughter, she's like, let me get in that bed, dog. I'm like, great. She goes, Dad, you're being very rude. You need to share. Like, sharing is caring. I'm like, fine. Come in. And then I'll end up getting maybe 7.5 hours of sleep. Yeah. But man, when you get that 8.5, oh my God, I feel like a brand new man.
Dude,
it's
like
crazy.
You feel that half-hour difference. Like, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. If I get 7.5 and not 8, I'm a mess. Dude. And my kids know for whatever, I understand everyone says, oh, kids aren't going to want to sleep in your bed forever. They're going to be like, they're going to be at an age where they don't want to sleep with you anymore. And I think to myself, good. Like, I don't want to share a bed. I don't like sharing beds. I don't know what it is. I cannot sleep well when I have 3 bodies between me and my wife. It's like, I'm on the corner, like slithered like this.
Well, you know what? We have to cherish the time that when we do get our 8 hours of sleep and nobody interrupts us, you and your wife. And then, obviously every once in a while, one of the little gremlins will, slide in there and interrupt it, but it's only for a short amount of time, right? I mean, they're going to be little once.
Yeah. And if you think I'm not going to be jumping in their bed when they're like 20, 30, got nothing coming, man.
Shit, I do it to Tyron all the time when he's late for school or his lemons go off. I get into bed. I'm like, hey, dog, hey, why don't you scoot over? But he goes, Dad, this is my bed. I was like, oh, now you know how it feels. Oh, that's funny. I said the same thing, and you didn't give two shits.
Yeah, man.
How much weight do you cut?
In total?
Yeah, like what do you walk around at? Like on a good, like just now, like if you're not dieting, you eat like what, maybe 190, 210? What is it?
98 kg in pounds. Oh, hold on. Hold on. I'm whiffing this.
That's okay.
Here we go. 216? About that?
You get up to 216 pounds?
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. That's what I usually walk around at. Like,
oh my God. 216 to 185.
Yeah, I usually start prep around that. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, I think that's pretty normal though. It'd be different for you because like the weight to water ratio is much different, but
yeah. Damn, 216. I mean, shit, even if you had, 10 pounds of water on you, you still got fucking, you're 216. You still got like, let's say you had 16 pounds of water on you, which is about a gallon of water is 8 pounds. So 2 gallons, you still have 185. So yeah, you have 210, that's 190. Yeah, you still have 15 pounds of muscle to lose or fat or whatever it may be. But I don't know. That just seems like a big ass number to me. But
it's fat, dude. I stop eating bloody Pringles and Cheetos for dinner, dude. Stop. Just cut out the ice creams and I'll lose fucking 10 pounds straight away.
Yeah. Oh man, that's big. So all right, Sean Strickland. I like that fight. Sean Strickland has an interesting way about going about his fights. That Philly shell style, straightforward, crossing the distance. I always find it if you don't give him the forward, if he cannot bully you, then he typically doesn't do well fighting backwards. But obviously, you've probably seen him fight forward. You studied him, and I think it's a great matchup for you because you're not scared to wrestle and obviously hold down, bite down, and turn into Bobby Knuckles like you did your last fight against Paulo Costa. So I like that.
Yeah. And much as you said, I think he's definitely worse going backwards. I think pacing yourself is super important against him because he's that sort of guy that whilst he won't be as offensively aggressive going backwards, he will bide his time. He's really good at that. And then if you slow down and you start giving him the space, he'll just take it to you. He'll bash you. Like you kind of need that forward pressure, or at least to meet him so that he can't start dictating the spacing. Because I think that's where his greatest weapons lies. He's like his 1-2, like and just how he creeps into that space for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Damn, man. Well, I'm trying to think if we covered everything. I mean, I feel like we did I think we talked about 30 minutes of fucking straight gaming.
Yeah, dude. 30 minutes of Elden Ring. Yeah. We need that sponsorship for the DLC, man.
Oh, I hear that. Dude, I have some connections at Bandai Namco, and I'll try to hook you up with the DLC because they're always looking for content creators, especially, athletes who love to play the game. And I know you've done a lot of stuff with, what's that? Bethesda?
Bethesda, yeah.
Bethesda, right?
No, Bethesda.
Yeah, you've done a lot of stuff with it. Yeah, you've done a lot of stuff with them. So I'm sure I can try to make a couple calls and see if I can get you that DLC.
That would be a dream.
I'm gonna do my best, my friend. Anything you want to tell people, like where they can find you? Anything on the horizon? Obviously, you just got that one in your camp. You just got that one an amazing fight against Paulo Costa. This is the opportunity for you to tell people where they can find you and what you got coming up next.
Yeah, I guess you can find me on my socials as usual, Rob Whittaker MMA. I'd love to have you on my cast at some point. That's MM Arcade on YouTube. I'd love to bring you in as a guest, our first guest ever, because we're just getting started, and I'd love to pick your brain about some things, especially because it's just so easy to chat with you because our passions kind of align a lot.
Absolutely. You just let me know, man. And I'm always the biggest thing I feel like in this sport that I've always made it a point to myself is I'm always on the athlete side. I always want to see the athlete win because, and what I mean by that, like at the end of the day, when Robert Whittaker walks away from mixed martial arts, I want him to show for it. And it broke my heart to hear about, I believe, what's the gentleman who just retired from mixed martial arts in the UFC? Was it Tyson
Pedro.
Tyson Pedro.
Mm.
When he says, I'm gonna have to rob somebody, and I think this sport of mixed martial arts, as we were talking earlier in the podcast about like when is the perfect time to have the kids start doing amateur fights.
Yeah.
And I feel in order to make it in this sport, it's to make good money, you have to become a world champion or start monetize it either different ways. So for me, if I can help you build your brand in your podcast or help you align you with people that you see fit, that's going to put money in your pocket, I'm always going to do it, right? And so anytime you need me on the podcast or any help tips or anything like that, you just reach out, man, and I'm always going to be here to help you.
No, I really appreciate that. I've always gotten that vibe from you as well, man, which is why I was so upset that I missed your message the first time. Like I didn't want to do you like that. I didn't want to come across like I'm just shunning you. Because I know how it feels, dude. Like, I just don't check my socials ever, really.
No,
so
I honestly, I didn't even take it that way. I was like, like I said, you're a busy man. You have 3 children. You're married. You got your game. You got your hardcore characters. You try to build your podcast up. So
I got 5 children, dude.
You have 5 kids?
Yeah, man.
What are the ages?
No, my oldest is turning 9 this year, and my youngest is
9
weeks old. Yeah.
Wow, you in the thick of things. My friend's at war right now.
Yeah, dude. COVID did me dirty, man. COVID did me dirty.
You in the house just ain't got nothing better to do.
Just recovering for days, dude.
Oh God. Well, you're a blessed man. A lot of people, I always tell my wife that she'll come home I'll go to the gym. She'll go to the gym at 4 a.m. because we have 3. So she'll leave the house at 4:30 a.m. and then she'll come home. Then we'll help get the kids off to school. Then I go to the gym and then we come home. And, I've been fortunate to be successful in mixed martial arts and building different brands where we can have the time to relax and chill. And we look back like, hey, we're blessed. We could pick the kids up from school. So it's amazing that you've been able to provide this lifestyle for your children and your beautiful wife and your home right now. And so you have a 9-week-old baby. What's the next age after that?
What do you mean?
So your youngest 9 weeks. Next child, how old is
3? Just turned 3.
3. Okay, so turned 3. So he or she's still at home.
Yep.
Right? Or is she at daycare?
He's at daycare a few days a week, but just because
perfect.
He's a social kid. He likes playing with other kids, right? And
okay.
Then, my other 3 are at school, so kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3.
Perfect. So you have been able to be fortunate enough to be successful in mixed martial arts so far where you could be home with your wife and be able to spend that time with them. So you're blessed.
Oh, definitely. And that's, that's why I understand how blessed I am and how fortunate I am. I'm around all the time. And then that was a big point for me not doing my camps overseas, not leaving, making it work here was because I didn't want to leave my kids. And Tyson Pedro, who just retired, mentioned that in when he was talking, it's just he doesn't leaving his family for 8 weeks at a time for a camp, and see, that's where we differ. It's I refuse to do that. I'll make it work. I won't do it because you do 3 or 4 of those, and most of the year's gone.
Oh yeah, and your kids are like, "Who the fuck are you? What's going on?" And,
who's the guy with the beard?
Yeah, it's funny to me because I've never understood that, right? And for me, I've always done all my camps like you, home, coming home after a hard day of training. Hey, Tyra needs this. Hey, Maverick needs this. Hey, I got to take him here, X, Y, and Z. Hey, I didn't get my full 8 hours of sleep. I got 6 hours of sleep or whatever. I've always been, first thing and foremost, a husband and a father like you.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell you this right now. When you start to make that transition period away from the sport, away from the lights, it's going to be so much easier because you've always been involved in your children's life. Not saying other athletes haven't, but I think when they make that transition away from, could you imagine it's oh shit, I'm leaving the house, no responsibilities for 8 weeks. I'm just going to focus on me for 8 to 9 weeks.
Yep.
And then after those 9 weeks, you go off and you fight. You're underneath the lights. Everyone's like, "Oh, Robert,
yeah.
I want to have your children, Robert." And then you fight, and then you go back home. Then for another 8 to 9, 10 weeks, you're home.
Yeah.
You're doing dishes. You're doing laundry. You're doing all that stuff. And then you're like, "Man, I can't."
fighters. Like they struggle with who they are when they leave the sport. But
yes, and I think
to Pedro's defense, though, there aren't the amount of bodies needed here in Australia just yet, opposed to the US. You know.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
So I can
it broke my
understand
heart
that.
when he says,
Yeah.
And I mean, Martin Nguyen, he does that too. He's in I think he's in Australia as well, and he says he told me, I was like, dude, what? I was like, dude, I told him, I was talking to him, I was like, dude, I guarantee if you do your camps at home, you will do just as good if you left to Florida. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, because you're surrounded by your wife. You're surrounded by your children. You're surrounded by the loved ones. The reason why you're doing it for. When you go away for 8 weeks, and then let's say you lose, you get pissed off. You're like, oh, man. So I see both sides of it. But for me, I love just always being involved in a kid's life, the whole entire thing. And to bring this all back to context, it just broke my heart to see him say, like, he's retiring for X, Y, and Z, he's broke and all that stuff. So I just think, in the sport of mixed martial arts, there will come a day where I think all athletes will bond together and look out for one another and make sure we all eat good besides just, the top 1 or top 0.05%. I have no idea. I haven't sat down and did all the math. So.
I 100% feel you there, man. It is, the sport isn't easy. It's a cruel mistress, man.
Yeah. Yes. I just heard that fucking mistress thing. Like, mixed martial arts is a mistress. When you have her, like, you love it. But then the mistress, you get tired of her. Somebody just told me that, and I was like, ooh, I fucking love that. Do you know the term? Tell me the term.
It's a cruel mistress.
Yeah. Why is it a cruel mistress?
Because, like, when it's good, it's good. But when it's bad, right? Like it's that's, I guess, to sum it up, like, that's how it is, right? Like, like when you're on top of the world, when you win, you're on top of the world, you're everybody's friend, you're in the limelight, everyone loves you. Like, you can do no wrong. When you go home, you can do no wrong. You're just, everything is better. But then when you lose, mate, nobody knows
He's
you.
A mate.
Nobody knows
mate.
you. Like, like, you get it. Like, nobody knows you. Nobody wants to talk to you. When you go home, everything sucks. Like, it's hard. It's really, like, it is crazy, the differences. And, like, I'm one who tries to keep things level. So I don't go crazy when I win. I don't go crazy when I lose. But there's still a difference. You can do your best, and there's a massive difference. And the implications of winning and losing, just like, yeah, man, it's a cruel mistress.
Oh, you get half your fucking check. That's what happens. It's like, God damn it.
Yes.
Yeah. One day, don't worry. One day, I hopefully in our lifetime, well, not my lifetime, maybe in your lifetime, obviously with the, the class action lawsuit that's going to be happening in April, hopefully it'll change some things. There's another one going on, I was told too. So we'll see what happens. Maybe one day down the line, there'll be a union for the fighters, but that's a whole nother monster that we can talk about. Maybe on your podcast, we'll talk about that. How's that sound?
They're blurring lines. Blurring lines.
You're like, these motherfuckers still pay me. I can't talk about that. God damn it.
Let's steer back to Elden Ring.
Yeah. Well, shit, Rob, this has been an absolute treat, man. Ladies and gentlemen, please go give my man Rob a follow. And he's got a new podcast. What's the podcast called again?
MM Arcade.
MMA Arcade, is that what it's called?
It's MMA Arcade, right? So it's like...
Oh, okay. Love that. Check out that podcast. I hope to be the first guest, and I'm sure it's going to be an amazing podcast because Rob is an absolute class act of a gentleman, absolute amazing athlete as well, former world champion in the UFC middleweight. And his last fight, I'm sure you can still check it out. What was that? UFC 298, right?
I want to say 8.
Yeah, we just had 299. Yeah, UFC 298. We take down Paulo Costa. Bobby Knuckles bites on that mouthpiece, gets after it. So Rob, thank you so much for joining the MightyCast. I am the host, Demetrious Johnson. The co-host, the producer, he's in Thailand looking for lady boys. If you guys like this podcast, make sure you like, subscribe, and also hit the bell when we go live. We are out. Chill. Well, damn. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we just got done talking to Rob Whittaker, Bobby Knuckles. I mean, what an absolute amazing athlete, guy, gamer. I mean, I think honestly, my favorite part of the interview, Michael, was probably him talking about video games, because you can vibe out with somebody who's played the same games, who's shared the same type of interest of killing somebody and taking all their stuff and ruining their day. I know you're not really big into games like the first-person shooters and the story mode games and all that stuff, but it's a breath of fresh air to talk to an athlete who loves to game.
No, and I was gonna say did not know anything about any of the video games you were talking about, but it was probably my favorite part of the interview too. Just here, I texted our good friend Nick, who helps us edit these shows, and I was like, dude, I love just hearing these two warriors just geeking out about video games. There was something just so great about hearing both of you guys just talking about video games, and also it made me realize what makes you guys like playing video games so much, that Whittaker's like, this is the only way that I could I think you were the one who also said it, of just zoning out and kind of being away from the kids, and you're not thinking about fighting or anything else, because you're just thinking about like, I need to beat this other guy online, or I need to beat this boss, or whatever it is. So I thought it was actually pretty fascinating, of like, oh, this makes sense. Now I get a little bit more of why, Demetrious likes playing video games so much.
Oh yeah, it's a way, like we both said, it's a way of an escape from the bills, the problem, I could say problems, the fights, the children, the wife. Not that we don't love our children or our wife, but it's kind of like my time. Like if I have free time to do whatever I want to play video games. Let's transition into that fight with him and Costa was absolutely amazing. Like you could see something different in his eyes when that fight was going down. And he stood there in the middle of the cage, wasn't given an inch, did a good job of countering him with the uppercut, uppercut, and overhand right after Paula's jab. And I think that fight, you see all these guys, Rob hasn't had an easy fight. Like he's fought the best of the division. He's fought Izzy, he's fought DDP, he's fought Jared Cannonier, he fought Paulo Costa, and now he is about to fight Khamzat. And I think this is the perfect story for him. If he gets past Khamzat and he gets to fight for the belt again, I think it's a perfect story about a challenger, a former champion, falling down the ladder and climbing his way back up.
Yeah, and it really shows the type of guy Rob is. I usually wouldn't want to break the fourth wall like this as a producer, but we did the interview, a couple weeks ago. Really good interview. We're getting ready to post it, and then as you're flying from Arizona back to Seattle, we just see the news of breaking news, the classic Dana White breaking news, which is like, what the hell? How is this Saudi Arabia main event, Khamzat versus Whittaker? I couldn't believe it, because we had just talked to Whittaker and he was seeming pretty confident in that Sean Strickland matchup. So it shows the type of guy Whittaker is, that we were able to get him on the next day so he could help out our interview and have him talking about Khamzat, because everyone's going to click in there and be like, does he talk about Khamzat? And then if he doesn't, they'll know that we ended up talking to him before the breaking news. So no, it shows the type of guy he is, and it also just accepting a fight like that shows how much of a badass he is, because nothing against Strickland, but I think it would have been a matchup that would have been a little bit of an easier route to take. Going against a Khamzat, it's a little bit more of the unknown. You're going against a really elite wrestler, bare minimum, but a guy who also has shown a little bit on the feet too. So personally, this matchup might be the most excited I am for any matchup that's coming up. You could even include 300, anything like that. Like, I'm just so interested to see Khamzat finally have a real test, and doing it in Saudi Arabia, First Fight Night, ABC. Like, fuck, I'm excited for that fight.
And it's free. I think the biggest thing too with that, the middleweight, it's the middleweight division is in a very interesting place. At one point in time, it was just Izzy's division, right? And some might believe it's still Izzy's division, but you see Izzy has a storyline with DDP. Izzy also has a storyline with Robert Whittaker. Nobody wants to fight Khamzat, and then out of nowhere, you have Whittaker versus Khamzat. And if Whittaker beats Khamzat, what does that do to Khamzat? And then who does Whittaker fight next? Does he get a title shot? Did they promise him a title shot? But like you said, he has that mindset where he's like, I want to take it to, the boogeyman in the division, and I think it's a great matchup.
No, I will say Dana did already say the winner's getting the next title shot. So
boom. We're there you go. But we already talked about this. I mean, Max Holloway already talked about this. You know how this goes. I don't want to age this, but it's good to know that he's going to get a title shot. So it's kind of twisting. So maybe they do a rematch with Izzy versus Sean Strickland, right? So I think as of like looking forward to like the upcoming matches, we have UFC 300. We have Alex versus Jamal Hill.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but it was fucking hilarious that Strickland took to Twitter and he's just like, I'm the only fighter that wouldn't have gotten an immediate rematch after that. And he's like,
yeah,
he's all, but no, that's great. That's great fantasy booking, DJ. Though I would love to see Izzy. I didn't think about that, but Izzy versus Strickland non-title. I think that's brilliant. I'd love to see that.
I think it's a great matchup. Then the winner of that can fight the winner of DDP versus Rob.
Yeah.
Right?
You're like DDP versus Rob. We're already skipping to Rob.
Yeah, we're already skipping Khamzat. Or the winner of Khamzat versus Rob can fight DDP. Then the winner of DDP versus the winner of that can fight the winner of Sean Strickland versus Israel Adesanya. Because there's storylines all across the board. Right, you look at Jamal Hill versus Alex. There's a storyline, but there's nothing. If Alex beats Jamal Hill, who is Alex going to fight next? He's literally beat the number one contender. I don't know who else he would fight. You look at Max versus Justin Gaethje. There's no storyline after that. Whoever wins, whoever wins that fight, they can still go back in their division and still do their own thing. And then the Cody Garbrandt versus Figueiredo, that's a great matchup. I mean, there's great matchups, but I think this matchup, Whittaker versus Khamzat, has more of a storyline of like a game. Right? It's like, oh, Robert Whittaker takes on the boogeyman. If he beats the boogeyman, he gets to go to the castle and fight for the gold. Or does he lose and go back? You know what I mean? I think
because it answers both the biggest question marks for both guys, which for Whittaker is always okay. The guy he's not healthy. He doesn't fight consistently enough. So now no one could say that. He beats Paulo Costa at UFC 298, turns around quickly. He's going June 22nd against Khamzat. So it answers that question. And then for Khamzat, the biggest question is, okay, is he a legitimate 185 if he fought Kamaru Usman on how many days notice? And
2 days notice, I think.
And he was not looking good towards the end of that fight. Like, Kamaru was really turning it up, and Kamaru's as great as he is, he's not a 185. He's 170. Yeah, so
he's 170, and I'll say it right here. I don't think Kamaru Usman is as dynamic as Robert Whittaker. I mean, Robert Whittaker kicks, he throws high kick, he throws same side. Kamaru Usman has a way of winning his fights, which is more of a pressure. I mean, he knocked out Jorge Masvidal, but he's not very dynamic. I don't think he's as dynamic as Rob Whittaker, and I think you're going to see the difference between Rob facing Khamzat to where is difference between Usman versus Khamzat.
Yeah, and I guess that leaves us to what we'll of course do a final prediction breakdown once it gets closer to the fight. But if you had to say right now, Khamzat versus Robert Whittaker, like who are you giving the edge in that fight?
I'm giving the edge to Rob. Rob has been more active. Rob has been at the top. He's been a champion. He's been in 5-round fights, and he doesn't shy away from adversity. And like I said, you saw that when he fought Paulo Costa. Like you can see in his eyes that he was like, okay, it's a fight. Like he is not scared. He earned that nickname Bobby Knuckles for a reason, and we saw it when he fought Costa. And I love him going into this fight. Like he said, he already knows what Khamzat does very well, and Khamzat will never go away from that. And I think him having that mindset that he knows what he does well is going to be very well for him.
No, and that was telling for me when the only question I asked, I'm like, yeah, are you impressed with him at all? And there was not an ounce of him being like, no, I'm
yeah,
not.
He was like,
in the most respectful way that Robert Whittaker could say, was just like, not really.
He was like, he's very good at one thing and he doesn't shy away from it.
So that tells me right there, like he probably looks at the footage, sees the fights, and he thinks like, yeah, I mean this is a match. And people have talked, this isn't a secret. People have said this is the fight they want to see is the true test for Khamzat. So I'm just excited to see this instead of, I don't know, just Khamzat's been so shrouded in mystery, and he's just very, very rarely fights. So it was refreshing to see the right opponent, the right date. We're not looking at something months and months from now. It's coming up pretty soon. So I was very surprised to see that. The only negative was that I was like, fuck, we gotta call Rob now and make this interview a little bit more relevant. But that's the only thing.
Yeah, no, like I said, I like the matchup, and I think Rob's absolutely amazing interview to hear about his days in COVID, and then him, when he's getting ready to fight DDP, he was on the salt bike. That's one of the things I love about talking to these guys, just to know their journey in mixed martial arts, where they started, the karate background. His very first fight he's ever been to was my fight in Australia, when they actually made it legal for them to have MMA fights in a cage. Yeah, absolutely amazing interview. And now, thank you, Robert Whittaker. Now we're going to move on to Michael Wanzover. Boxing it's a pro debut. Boxing debut. He won it. Actually, he lost, but hey, that's okay. He did very good stuff. So run that shit, Michael.
What's going on, boys? Special edition we want to bring to you guys with the MightyCast. We're going to call it the MightyCap. And we have a breakdown for you. A special edition for my boy Michael Wanzover, the producer. He was out in Thailand looking for lady boys, but he found something else. He found himself in a fight. Now, Michael, how did you feel about going into this fight against this stranger?
Yeah, so, I mean, pretty much the story behind this, I'm with Kelvin Gaslam in Thailand. We're at this bar. It's called a reggae bar. It's on PP Island, really beautiful island. We had to take an hour boat ride from Phuket. But long story short, basically drunk dudes just volunteer to fight at this bar, and that's pretty much the entertainment all night. But we're just sitting there all night having fun, having some drinks, watching the fights, and Kelvin had made the joke, and some other people came up to me of like, hey, you should fight. They might just kind of look at my physique and think I'm a fighter, but no one knows that I've never boxed or trained boxing in my life whatsoever. But it got going in my head, and I just think, I produce for you, I produce for Kelvin, I produce for these guys who actually do go in there and fight. So I'm like, you know what, maybe I should experience this myself. All the terrible breakdowns that I subject you to, then maybe, and I'll be on, and I'll put the text up here too. DJ, what did you say when I texted you that, okay, I'm gonna volunteer and I'm gonna fight? What was your first advice for me?
I think I said, have fun and keep your hands up and and use feints and throw combination behind your feints, I believe.
The first thing you said to me is don't do it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
No, but no, I just wanted to do it for the content, pretty much. I'm not gonna lie. So it was so pretty much how it worked is I went in the ring and they held my hand up and they're like, who wants to fight this guy? And there was this one big dude first volunteered himself, and I'm like, nah, fuck that. And then this other guy volunteered, and I was still like, yeah, I'll probably get my ass kicked, but whatever. Let's just do this for the content. So, I volunteered. And then this was also, I know it looks like Muay Thai, but this is only boxing. I guess it used to be Muay Thai, but I bet someone got injured doing some kick or some shit. So only boxing rules. And no, I would rather not do this breakdown now that I'm the one that's going to be made fun of. But I think that's the important thing to consider is never. So you'll see when we start this video, Kelvin's training me a little bit. That is the first time in my life doing any sort of boxing training whatsoever, which is weird to say as someone like me who has such an interest in combat sports, and I wrestled growing up, but I don't know why just boxing is something that never happened. So no, this doesn't look pretty, but I'm happy that the GOAT Demetrious Johnson gets to break this down, and I could for once be one of those street beef guys, death sentence type of guy. It feels a little bit good, at least getting that treatment.
Well, let's go ahead and break it down, ladies and gentlemen. Already, I'm going to press play on the video. Already see some things I love. Right now, let's take a look at Michael Wanzover's fucking hairline. Look at that. This man's not balding anytime soon, ladies and gentlemen. He's got a beautiful, luscious, dark brunette hair. So God bless you, Michael. I've always complimented on your hair. but it's good to see it's in action in Thailand. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. Like Michael said, he fought.
But
this
I will say too though. Looking at the picture, you'll see there's a I'm immediately just trying to like make up for how much I suck by making excuses. But I will say that this guy is pretty. I'd say he probably weighs like 185 pounds, and I'm probably about like a 155.
Nice. Okay, let's finish it. All right, here is Michael in there already. I like what I've seen with Michael. He's got a beautiful he overstayed him with that punch, but that's okay. Already, we like what we see from Michael here. I love that he's had his old traditional boxing up. His chin's not up in the air. It's nice and low, so it's right where it needs to be. He's got a beautiful stance going there as well. He's got a middleweight former title challenger, Kevin Gastelum, helping him out. Don't worry about this bandage, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Gastelum got in a car accident. Well, a motorcycle accident. That's for a different story. But let's get back to what is the main reason we're watching this, because Michael. Okay. Michael's moving, starting to jab. I like it. Okay, he's in his shell. That's good. Good jab. Okay. Oh, it's good. It's a good jab, baby. It's a good jab. Like at that jab, okay. You look like you're being tickled. Good jab. Okay. Look, Michael's already got fanboy right here. He's got his number one fan right here. This guy, he's interested. He's interested. All right, let's keep on going. Let's bring it down. All right, here we go. First round. Okay, so Michael's doing a good job of going back and forth. Okay. Okay. Headgear. Oh, hey, let's back that up real quick. That was a beautiful overhand right from Michael. Right here.
I don't know if I'd call it beautiful.
He hits him in the body, and look what this guy's at. See, right now, Michael's using the void to his advantage of being smaller. He's inside the void right now. He hits the gentleman in the body, and this guy tries to hit him in the face. Smaller people do this very well, is that when you fight someone who's taller than you, you want to keep your head down. The reason why is because when they punch down at you, it leaves their face open, and you're going to see Michael come over the top with an overhand right. You know, this is Michael's first time ever doing any type of combat. But right here, he throws, he misses. Michael comes over the top. Boy! Right on the fucking chin, mate. So, and Michael is...
And I would say that is one thing I felt like a little uncomfortable with the range. So you were going to see a lot of body shots, which that was advice from Kelvin, which was some good advice, that we were watching the fights all night and we're like, no one's using the body. And for me, I use the body because just of the reach disadvantage. It was harder to obviously throw up top than just the body's like right there. So you're going to see a lot of me. I spammed the body quite a lot, but it's kind of right there when he didn't really defend it at all. So I was like, why not? I'm just going to keep throwing some body shots.
Yeah, and he also has an egg basket, so he's not like he's shredded. So those over time pay dividends, but when you go for the body, it brings their hands down, which gives you the ability to come over the top like you just did right here. All right, let's keep on going, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful right hand. He lands that, sticks it, and he's still good. Okay, obviously Michael's having a little malfunction with the I
hated wearing that fucking headgear.
Yeah.
Like I just couldn't see anything if it like moved even an inch right or left.
Yeah. Right, he's going for the body, and each time, so this is what Michael's doing. He's going into the void, and he's backing straight out. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get the void for Michael right here. Boom, here's the void. Michael's doing a good job of going to the body. He's going straight to the body, hitting that void in the egg basket. Then what he's doing, he's not staying inside the void. He's backing out of it, and then that's when that gentleman's landing the 1-2-5. If Michael stays there inside the void, hits him in the body, it's going to force this guy to either take an angle on Michael, which I don't think he has that ability, or he's going to back straight up, which gives Michael the opportunity not to get hit with that three-piece combination. You guys are going to see a little more of it each time. I'm going to break it down as we're going. Here you go. Here we go, Michael. Okay, he gets hit 1-2. So Michael's going to go again. He goes again. He backs right back out. Oh, his head comes up. That's okay. The guy's doing it. He's a good sport. Overhand. See, and that overhand right landed, ladies and gentlemen. It landed. All right. Look at that. That's slow motion. Watch this. Slow motion. He shows. It's a big, wild looping punch from Michael. But look, the guy tries to counter it, but he misses. Michael gets through and lands that overhand right. That's an overhand right. That's a knockout punch. Michael loses his power on overhand right punch because look where his feet are at. They're off the mat. So he can't really generate all that weight, all that power because all his weight is right here instead of pushing through it. But beautiful overhand right from Michael Wanzo. Oh my God. Lands that. Backs out of the void. Comes right back into it and lands 1-2. And he stops. All right. Round 1. I give it to Michael because Michael landed the better, harder shots. Round 2. Here we go.
Round 2, from my memory, I get my ass kicked pretty bad.
All right, here we go. Let's move in. Shit, okay. So Michael's getting a little too gun happy. Good jab to the body. Ooh, beautiful uppercut from his opponent. 1-2. And you see how he goes back in the void, he's out. In, out.
So you're saying that's good to go in and out? Or
no, it's not good to go in and out.
Oh.
Because that's where you're taking most of your damage is going out of it. When you go in it, you're safe. Boom, boom, 1-2. You got out. 1-2, you go over top. Let's see. 1-2 again. And see, now he's not cap. 2-5, he gets you again. Oh, that was a quick. So how long the round? I think the rounds are 1 minute long.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 minute long. Okay. Round 2 wasn't his best round, ladies and gentlemen. That's okay. He's going to come out strong in the third round.
Yeah. No, third round, I at least come. I mean, we'll see, but I come out hot. I try to end. I swear I was thinking the start of the third, I'm going to go right enter the void just like DJ would want me to.
There it is. 1-2. And see you later. He backs out. All right. Look, right there. So we're backing up real quick. This is where he gets hit. Right here. So Michael comes into the void. He's not scared of it one bit. He comes in. Look, he slips the first jab. Look, he slips the jab. He comes into the void. He's into it. He slips that jab. Boom. Look at that. Beautiful technique from Michael right there. He slips the jab. Lands one himself. Okay, he lands one himself. Lands a jab. Comes over the top with a 2. And this is, look where Michael is right now. Michael is behind the shoulder. He's behind the shoulder. If Michael goes around this way and keeps this foot on the ground, because behind him, he's going to get 2 free shots, ladies and gentlemen. But what does Michael do? He's in the void. He's making love to it, and he gets out of it because he's the one to get her pregnant. Watch this. Look at him. He's backing out. He's backing out of the void. And look, it gives this gentleman the opportunity to return fire with a 2 and an uppercut, and Michael has to cross the void all over again. Look how far he made that void. And he's going to try to do it all over again. He does it again, gets back out. That's where he takes his most damage. Oh, he hit him in the penis. Cheater. Oh, right there, he gets hit again. Oh, beautiful 2 from the opponent. Uppercut. Oh. Oi! That right hand landed again. Back it up. Oi! So Michael does his. This is your best shot, Michael. Is your right hand. You show something and then you come over the top and you land this beautiful. Look, ladies and gentlemen, can we just take time to appreciate this right here? Look at this. Perfect technique.
And I want to say, Kelvin like said to me, it was also good advice because the first couple rounds I wasn't throwing combinations, so it would just be like, okay, this is my shot, this is my shot. And he's like, do you like throw multiple things, like throw combinations? So then third round was where I'm like, wait, yeah, I should like feint, throw to the body, then throw right. Like I don't know why I didn't think when you've never fought. I guess that's the shit that goes through your head. But I was like, oh yeah, I could throw combinations.
Yeah, that's your first one, but that's your best shot. Is your overhand right is your best shot. Being a shorter fighter. Because he is not getting smaller. He's not lowering his elevation to match you. And so he has to punch you down. And each time he punches down, you're catching him with these clean ass shots. Like this is like when you watch the video, you're going to see how much you caught him in a clean shot. Beautiful right hand. And then look, Michael ducks down, he hides, and he gets back out of the void. So each time Michael has to rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. He's going back again. Beautiful shot.
So you're saying I should have stayed in the void.
Stayed in the void, yes. Absolutely. Ooh, that's a big shot from Michael. Ooh. And Michael's turning away. He's scared. Don't be scared, homie. Look at his face. Oh. Let's give a round of applause to Michael. Wand's over. His first fight.
And I want to say that shows how much I care about all of our fans. I did that for the content. I didn't do that for anyone else. I did it for the 500,000 plus mighty subscribers because I knew that DJ's gonna break this horrible fight down, and that will make it all worth it. The headache in Thailand and the jaw pain will be all worth it just to get this breakdown.
Hey, I don't think it was bad. I thought you had some really good shots for your first time ever being in a combat fight, right? Your right hand was looking good. You came into the void and you back out. That's one of the things that people do. They'll come in the void and hit 1, 2, or 2, and they jump all the way back out. Typically, you want to stay inside the void, go around the ankles and left to force them to give you room in the void. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thought Michael did a good job for his very first ever combat experience. It's like the first time you have sex. Once you get in there, you're gonna blow that load so fucking fast, you're not gonna believe, you're gonna doubt yourself. So once Michael gets more opportunity to do more boxing matches, he's gonna get better. Michael, you came home with something very nice and shiny. Show everybody that nice piece of gold medal you got from Thailand.
No, yeah, and I want to say this is dedicated to our 500,000 plus subscribers. I did all of this for you. Really, at the end of the day, this was all for content, just so DJ could break it down, so all of our subscribers could see it. So right here, this gold medal, it says on it, Reggae Muay Thai fight with me, free bucket. Oh yeah, because I forgot, that was the best part. I won a free bucket of alcohol. So it's hilarious because right after the fight, they just go up to you with this like bucket. It's like, here, take this shit. Like, this is all you're getting. But no, here we go. I don't know if this focus is working, but right there, boom. This medal. This is for all of us to celebrate. Yeah, found out a good way to get focused on this baby. I don't know if it's
right, get the focus.
There we go, right there. This medal is for each and every one of that 500,000 plus subscribers. I fought for you, and I'll fight for you again one day when the time's right. Maybe in some other random foreign country with some random UFC fighter.
Boom. Now let's get back to the podcast.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the Mighty Recap. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe. Also, hit the bell when we go live. And that is my co-host, Michael Roseover, and I'm your host, Demetrious Johnson. We'll see you guys at the next one. Cheers!